shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Hi there, folks. How you doing? It's not Patrick. It's Jack here. Your eyes do not deceive you. Jack has a banjo, or a banjo, if you prefer. And what I'm here to do today, I got a request for this video from a good friend of mine, Humphrey, and I'm putting it on the Tab Free group as well, not as a shot in the arm for Patrick Costello, because Patrick, as is well documented, is responsible for me not giving up the banjo. Patrick's methods made a banjo player out of me, and I'm eternally grateful to him. But I'm here to teach you a list of basic banjo chords. You'll observe I play with a flat pick. I don't play like Patrick does. Patrick's style is fantastic. It's unique. I would not want to be a parrot and copy his style. I want to make my own style, and for various reasons, frailing isn't practical for me. You can use it if you want to. I've got no objections. I'd love to hear you use it. If you want to play with picks on, do it. If you want to play with a flat pick like me, do it. Whatever's comfortable for you. We're here to learn chords on this lesson. But before we start, we've got to make sure that our banjo is in tune. And you do this with an electronic tuner or an app on your phone. Now, the string nearest the ceiling, your rhythm string, or dare I say it, drone string, as some people call it. No, it's not. But I used to fall into that trap. That's your 5th string, and that is a high G. I prefer to call it the thumb string, because that is mostly the finger you'll be using on it, your thumb, if you're playing with your fingers. The next string is a bass D, your bass D string. And I say that because there are 2 D notes on the banjo, but it sounds like this. The next string is a G. Yep, 2 G's on the banjo. The next string is a B. And finally, that 2nd D string. I'm going to assume you already know a fair bit about the banjo and its parts, and that you can get different sounds from different positions on the instrument. And even after this video, I would encourage that you experiment. You play around on your fretboard. Find chords yourself. Because I'm not going to sit here and name every jazz chord in the dictionary. What I'm going to do is give you enough chords to play good folk banjo. And to be able to sing with your banjo. Now you'll notice as we were tuning up that we're already in a chord, the easiest chord in the world, an open chord. That's a G chord, and you just do that by strumming down. No upstrokes on the banjo. That's the same as how Patrick does it. I don't use any up picking. I know people that do, and they use it very effectively, but I don't. So that's a G major chord. If you want to make it a G minor chord, all you do is find your G note, which is on that bass D string on the 5th fret. Now, when I say the 5th fret, I don't mean on the wire, or that happens. That's horrible. You want to get it just behind the wire, right in the space, and press down just enough so that the string changes pitch. And then also fret a B flat on your G string, and that is the 3rd fret. Now you're going to have to fiddle around to find which way is most comfortable for you to finger this chord. But there's still something missing. Yes, we need a D note from the B string. And then a G up on the top D. Now you'll have figured out this chord is horrible to fret that way. Don't worry about it, there's a way around it. That's the beauty of the banjo. There's a way around most problems. With a bit of ingenuity. There's our G minor, look. But that's not very clear either, is it? In my experience, the best way to play a G minor is to put a capo on your banjo. That won't cover the 5th string. So we'll get on to that at the end of the video, okay? So, we have our open G. We can play a G7 chord, however. Just by placing that ring finger of the left hand on the 3rd fret of the top D string, the one nearest the floor. That is a G7 chord. If you're left-handed, by the way, you're going to have to reverse things to however you lefties do it. So that's a G7 chord. So open G, G7. Our next chord is the C chord. And you do this by placing the 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the bass D string. The G string is open. The 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B string, and your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the high D string, and then you just strum down. That's a beautiful ringing C major chord. If you want to make it a C7, bring that small finger in and strum across if your hand will allow it. Some people's hands, including mine, are a bit on the big side for this chord. In fact, I don't like the way that sounds because you're missing out the that G note, which makes it a beautiful C chord. But fear not, there's another way around it. Just take your ring finger off the high D string and lo and behold, C7. Now C minor, you'll be glad to know, is a lot easier. All we're doing, shifting some fingers round, we're moving this 2nd finger back a fret onto the 1st fret. And as you do this, arch your wrist and allow the neck of the banjo to slip in between the webbing of your thumb and 1st finger, just for some additional support. And strum the chord. A lovely dark C minor chord. It's easy to put combinations of chords together on the banjo. That's what makes it such a great instrument to learn to play. Now then, D chords. Well, the easiest D chord, believe it or not, is the D7, because all it is your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the B string and your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, or the bass G, if you will. And you just strum down. Beautiful D7 chord. Bring in the small finger if you want. Your hand will have plenty of room if you move your wrist around. And that's a really full D7 chord. And what you can do, if you move your hand, leave the small finger where it is and place your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string and your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the G string. Now leave the thumb string out and just strum from the 4th string down. That is a D major chord. If that position's a little bit uncomfortable, move some fingers around. If any of these chord positions hurt your hand, stop at once and and take a break. Hit the pause button. Get some feeling back in your hand. Make these chords work for you. The D minor chord is a beauty of a chord because all we have to do is move the small finger or the ring finger back 1 fret. D minor, and with a hammer on, you got a nice dark riff going on. The E minor chord, very similar to how we played on the guitar. And somebody's WhatsApping me there. We'll just turn off the speech so we don't get interrupted again. And I think that might have even sent the camera out just a little. You can tell these are professional, can't you, folks? Let's just, yeah, that's okay. All right, so pick up the banjo again, and as I say, the E minor chord, very similar to how it is on the guitar, except you've got your second finger sticking up in the air, which looks a bit rude. You can alter the chord. That's not comfortable for my hands, so I play it like this, with my second finger up in the air. My first finger is on the bass D at the 2nd fret, and my ring finger is on the top D, if you will, the D nearest the floor, on the 2nd fret. And then you just strum down all 5 strings. That's your E minor chord. If you want to make it a major chord, again, arch that wrist, move some fingers around. The 2nd finger now is on the 2nd fret of the D, and my 1st finger is on the 1st fret of the G string. Now, if I want to make it an E7 chord, I just lift up this ring finger. Perfect. Now this chord is a particularly good one because this is a movable chord. Let's move the whole shape across 1 fret. Oh, something's wrong. We've nearly got an F chord. We have to move some fingers around. That's okay. Your ring finger is on the 3rd fret of the low D string. The 2nd finger is on the 2nd fret of the G. It's not fretting it very clearly, but it doesn't matter. The 1st finger is on the 1st fret of the B string, and lastly, the small finger reaches right across onto the top D string at the 3rd fret, and that's your F chord. It's a horror chord on the guitar, but it's not too bad on the banjo, and you can move it around. Like I say, move it 1 fret up, F sharp, move it another fret, we've got another G chord. Bit of a jazzy Dixieland G chord. And if we move it 1 more fret, a G sharp, and 1 more for an A chord. So that's a movable chord. Another movable chord is the other A major chord. And this one is another very easy chord because all the fingers, the 3 fingers of the left hand, are all on the same fret. They're all on the 2nd fret. The trick of this chord is 4 fingers, not 3, I beg your pardon. It depends on the size of your hand. If you've got a smaller hand, you're going to need all 4 fingers. If you've got a bigger hand, you can use 3 fingers to flatten down 2 strings at once. And that's your A chord. This chord moves up a fret, B flat, up a fret, B major, or down. Actually, we're going down the neck, not up. Up again, or down again. C chord, again. C sharp again, D again, E flat. And at this point, we can bring in the thumb string as well. Use the whole hand to just grab around the neck, get it in a bit of a chokehold. Up again. E chord, but they start to sound a bit silly past D. If you move down the neck, of course, you get an A flat chord, and then you just run out of room because you hit the knot and there are no more frets. An A minor chord, this is a bit tricky. Small finger on the second fret of the top D, first finger on the first fret of the B string, second finger on the second fret of the G string, and lastly your ring finger on the second fret of the D string. And this chord moves as well. B minor, or B flat minor, B minor, C minor, C sharp minor, watch that fifth string peg, and D minor. And after that, it just gets kind of silly, so leave it where it is. And lastly, your A7 chord, very easy. Leave that second finger sticking up in the air and basically form an A chord with the G string open. If we pop the second finger down on the second fret of the G, we get a full A. If we lift it up, we get an A7. So that is a list of banjo chords. Now, if you put a guitar capo on your banjo, you can fret the first 4 strings. You cannot fret the 5th string, your capo won't reach. You need to buy a separate 5th string capo. I don't have one of those. I don't like to put anything on that string because it's so short. I don't like to mess around with it too much because when it goes, and it goes with a bang, I'll tell you. So, if you are capoing or capoing, just do that for your other 4 strings. If you capo right up here on the 5th fret, you can see it's C chord. Your banjo will be capoed in C, but that is how you get a good full G minor chord. Although G minor doesn't really come up very often on the banjo, there are probably better ways to fret it. Play around. Play around on your fretboard. Experiment for yourself. If you find a good way, let me know. I'm not perfect. Who is? But the banjo is mostly a very happy instrument. So you'll be using, the most common chords will be G, C, and D. In fact, a lot of banjo players don't get past those chords. But it's good to know these other chords are out there. Especially the movable ones that you can move all around the neck, even if you don't play them properly, like I should have been, like that. So there you go. Experiment, play some songs, and that's the challenge at the end of this video. I want to hear what you come up with. Now you've got these chords. Practice them, practice them, practice them. Use the pause button. Play the video as many times as you need. And sing. Now Dooley was a good old man, lived below the mill. Dooley had 2 daughters and a 40-gallon still. One gal was the butter, t'other was the spout. Mama corked the bottles when old Dooley fetched them out. experiment. Use hammer-ons. Use these chords. Maybe that's a little too high. Move the song down. Now Dooley was a good old man, lived below the mill. Dooley had 2 daughters and a 40-gallon still. One gal watched the boiler, the other watched the spout. Mama corked the bottles when old Dooley fetched them out. Oh, but it wasn't so fast that time. So what? Speed doesn't mean you're good. Speed just means you can play fast. That's all. You can play fast, but you run the risk of this. Just making a great big noise, or just making mistakes and sounding rubbish. Whereas you can play the song nice and slowly. Now Dooley was a good old man, lived below the mill. Dooley had 2 daughters and a 40-gallon still. One gal watched the boiler, the other watched the spout. Mama corked the bottles when old Dooley fetched them out. Dooley slipping up a holler, Dooley trying to make a dollar. Dooley, give me a smaller and I'll pay you back someday. There now. That was much better, wasn't it? There was a rhythm there. There was a tune there. You could pick out the melody if you wanted, if you were playing with a full band. And if the bass player or the guitar player turned to you and said, solo, you could easily find the tune because you're just playing off your chords. No, I'm playing a different tune there. And so on, and so on. It's handy to know the scales for the chords as well. We may do those in another lesson. Scales are important. The simple things are what make good players. I learned that the hard way. Well, friends, that's it for our banjo chords lesson. I really hope these are going to help you. I hope these chords will come in useful to you. I'm sure they will on your musical journey. Remember, we shall overcome. Keep picking and grinning, and I'll see you next time.
Stop recording video.